Hey friend, Sean from Draft Therapy here, and on today's review for you, listen, don't get caught with more than 2.5 ounces, okay? Stoner IPA is a 6.3% IPA from Big Lake Brewing in Holland, Michigan. Stoner IPA is the latest IPA from Big Lake Brewing, which, if you haven't noticed, they've been killing it with hazy IPA game lately. Anyhow, being the old man that I am, I always like to mention that back in the day, when I tied an onion to my belt, which was the style at the time, 6.3 was considered high ABV. Now this thing could almost be called sessionable. So let's have a look at the label, we'll waste no more time, and we'll get it into a glass. Fun fact, even though it's legal, you still can't use it or grow it in public. So taking a look at the label here, let's look at the front here. It has, it says Stoner IPA. It has some kind of yellow, green, and red colors, like a flag almost or something. And it has this weird, really just kind of crazy, I don't know, like those hand-rolled cigarettes that you see people with. And it has a hop cone at the end in green. It says 1 pint, 16 fluid ounces, and dive in, which is their slogan. And then on the side here, it says Big Lake Brewing, Holland, Michigan, brewed and canned by Big Lake Brewing. There's not a whole lot else going on in this can. That's about it, and that's fine with me. I like minimal style. They're going away a little bit from their more recent style, which is kind of like a 2-color design, really super duper minimal, but that's fine. This is still a pretty good label. I think they're getting their point across. Let's crack this open and give it a whiff here. It smells pretty dank. It smells pretty resinous. And what I mean by that is it has a nice piney kind of scent to it. Let's go ahead and pour this. Get a better nose out of the glass here. So it's coming out as a kind of a golden orangish color right out of the can. And I'm going to start pouring it right down the middle here. And that's actually a really kind of, not a hazy. It's definitely not hazy. Okay, so let's start with the head. It's about 1.5 fingers worth of head. It's got these really smaller, compact bubbles. Lately, it seems like when I've been pouring, I've been getting these really large bubbles, and this one, the bubbles are a lot smaller. The cross section, they're a little bit larger, and it's starting to dissipate a little bit. But if I hold this up, this is almost entirely transparent. There's a tiny bit of haze, but it's not much. There's not a whole lot of haze. There's a lot of good carbonation coming up. I can see my hand easily through it, and it's got this kind of a yellowish, almost close to amber color. Let's get a better nose here out of the glass. It's not an overpoweringly dank smell and not an overpowering resinous smell to it, but you got to get right up in there and then you can smell it. It's not something, if I hold it away from my face, I don't smell it. It's not in my face, but when I hold it closer, I can smell a little bit better here. So I'm ready to dive right in here. Cheers. Wow. That has a lot going on. Okay. So first drawing it in, the first thing that I get is this. It comes in kind of sweet. Has a sweet start. Let me revise that. The sweetness comes in after the first taste. So the first taste, when I pull it in, it has this bitter, it has this hoppy, resinous quality to it right up front. So when you first take it in your mouth, you actually don't taste a whole lot. It's kind of like, oh, there's not a whole lot of taste to this. But as it sits in your mouth and as it evolves through the swallow, right? So when you start to have it pass over your tongue, it gets to that resinous quality to it, that piney resinous quality, and then it gets to this malty kind of backbone to it. Not so far as to say like a biscuity malt or like a thicker kind of malt, but it has this kind of woodsy, cedary kind of malty taste, and then that transforms into the aftertaste, and it kind of evolves into more of that piney, resiny, bitter taste. When I take a slower draw, I get more of that kind of evolution of flavor. But when I take a quicker drink, I don't get so much of the change. What I get more is that kind of resiny, piney, hoppy bitterness on the tail end, on the back of my tongue. And then the maltiness comes through more on the aftertaste. It's just a really interesting change, right? When, you know, as it rolls over your taste buds, the different ways that you drink it, when you drink it and you let it kind of sit on your tongue and then you swallow it, you get one kind of taste. When you just kind of take that quick draw, you get almost, I think it's almost a little bit more pleasing to get the quick draw because it comes through a little bit, has a little bit more of a malty caramel kind of sweetness to it with the piney bitterness in there as well. On the opposite side, when you take the slow taste through, you don't get that as much. You get more of all the tastes different. And I think this one is better altogether than it is as a sum of its parts, or the sum of its parts is better than all the individual pieces. So I'd like to take the quick draw. I like that kind of profile of it better than letting it kind of sit in my mouth, because that way I get more of that kind of maltiness, but it seems like it's kind of broken up. It's broken apart differently and kind of in an odd fashion when you kind of let it just roll over your taste buds. If you're looking for more of kind of like a Midwest / West Coasty kind of IPA, I think Stoner IPA is definitely up your alley. If you want something that's like a cross between a West Coast and a Midwest IPA, and I think of Midwest IPAs as being a little bit more malty. If you go at it, if you want to get at that angle a little bit more, this would be perfect. It would really satisfy a West Coast IPA fan that maybe doesn't want something so bitter all the time. It's a little bit of a change of pace, but you still get those remnants of West Coast IPA taste in there. All right, friends, that is Stoner IPA from Big Lake Brewing Company. Have you had this, or what's your favorite Big Lake brew or IPA, just IPA in general? Let me know in the comments down below. And while you're down there, if you like Michigan beer, you might want to consider subscribing, because I'm here talking Michigan beer every Tuesday and Thursday. You want to drink local and support your local breweries? Well, me too. So stay tuned to see what else is next. So until next time, I'm Sean from Draft Therapy. Thanks for stopping by. And remember, drink craft beer, support your local breweries, and most importantly, don't forget to treat yourself to a little Draft Therapy. Thanks for watching. Cheers.